So we now come to the second panel discussion, celebrating a glorious growth with a grand future. I now call upon Rashmi Naicker, commercial design editor for Commercial Design magazine and your moderator for this panel. Our first panelist, Palak, Dani, Mansotra. Dr. Sunita Purushottam, head of sustainability, Mahindra Lifespaces developers, has over 20 years of sustainability strategy and environmental consultancy experience in the areas of environmental impact assessment, air emissions modeling and meteorology, GHG emissions inventory and carbon offsets, carbon neutrality strategy, waste management and water risk. She is a certified GHG emissions inventory quantifier and fellow of the Royal Meteorological Society, London. Is Palak here? Palak Mansotra? Tejaswini Joshi, Assistant General Manager HR Afcons, holds an MMS in HR from St. Francis Institute of Management and Research, University of Mumbai, and a postgraduate degree in science. Her work includes spearheading employee well-being programs that take a holistic approach to physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual health. She has also designed leadership development interventions and led L&D process interventions. Vyoma Motiramani studied architecture at Kamla Raheja Vidyanidhi Institute of Architecture, Mumbai. In order to understand an architectural on an international level, she pursued an exchange program called INCH, that's how you pronounce it? Inch, okay, with the University of Bern, Switzerland. She joined IM Kadri, where she upgraded her experience and knowledge as an architect. She then moved on to forming her own practice, Design Lab Vyoma, where she independently designed and executed medium and high-end interior residential and corporate projects. Gungan Bajaj, principal designer, Gutika. House of Design. Gutika House of Design is a Mumbai-based firm with new-gen interior design service and an inordinate traditional aesthetic sensibility. It has been 12 years since we started this journey as designers. They create unique and personalized designs that perfectly reflect the style and personality of their clients.
That was an amazing first panel discussion that we had. So many points that I drew from you. One of the points that I actually want to speak to each of the panels is how they got into the field that they are. I mean, I was making Seema, you are into Experion, and that is construction software, which is so uncharted, and you've made it happen. That is something I want to know how you did it. Namrata got into ESG professionalism as an expert into that, and that is years before like sustainability was just getting and I want to understand what was the vision behind that you chose into. I really want to sit with you girls to talk to this. And even Dr. Shashi, she went into from homeopathy to HR and real estate. These are some really amazing stories and journey that I would love to know if you y'all can give me a moment later. But coming to my panel, I want to actually start with that first. So if each of y'all, I mean, it might not be, honestly, I myself wanted to be a CA first, but I am here. So I just wanted to understand what's been your trajectory into this field and how did y'all navigate this career and this journey? To start with Sunita,
It's been a long journey and I'm here by accident.
Okay.
So I'll begin with that. I'm a physics postgraduate and then I did my PhD in environmental science and engineering and years of environmental consulting, India and abroad. Technology, ESG platforms and creating one platform in a startup. And then this opportunity came up. And then I said, okay, this is an opportunity to actually do something, because I felt that cross-sectoral experience helps, but taking that environmental knowledge and also the knowledge of physics into built environment has been really amazing. Because it actually brings everything together, whatever I have done. Okay. So it's physics, and it's environment, and it's technology, and now getting into implementation, it's been fun.
Oh, that's really interesting. That's amazing.
Good morning, everyone. I think from physics, chemistry comes in.
Oh, good Lord. See, I knew there were journeys here.
So I'm also a postgraduate in science, did my master's in chemistry. And then the shift happened to management. It was initially not a planned one, but with a lot of discussions with my friends who were from the stream, I think I took the plunge. And some of the things which did help me in navigating through the subject were similar to just go in depth, deep dive in the subject. Whenever any implementation is to be planned in the organization, just think over it, have a clear purpose, do an in-depth study, and I think it pays dividends in the long run. Thank you.
Nice. Vyoma, if you could.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my journey actually, it started off very young where I knew I wanted to do something related to art, but I wasn't sure what about art, whether it was commercial or interior or fashion designing or architecture or anything.
Okay.
So just to have a wider range, I just got into architecture, which was like a little default at that time. And once I got into architecture, I just realized that my love for it was so genuine that I never looked back for anything else.
Oh.
I just feel being an architect or the whole process of those years of study and progress, it just opens your vision to kind of appreciate a lot of other things besides architecture. So be it cinema, be it photography, be it dance, be it so many other, forms of art that, nothing was ever monotonous or boring from then, that day onwards. So every day something new. Every day I'm, open to more knowledge, open to learning something new. So that was like something that got me hooked on to this and has still kept me going. And I feel my journey is very young and it's just begun and I have a long way to learn and, explore in this field. So that's how I got into this.
After 3 accidental real estate jobs, there's one who knew the direction that she wanted to get into.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of knew I wanted to do into art, but not exactly in which field of that.
Hi, I'm Gungan. So looking at our previous panelists and right now, I think some accidents are good. As of me, I was always inclined towards design. Reason being, when you're designing lifestyles, you're designing structures, you're shaping up lives of people. So that really inspired me since I was in school, actually. So getting into creative field was always what I wanted to do. In fact, my parents were like, why don't you do science and why don't you do all of this? And I dropped it out. Then they were really scared. What is she going to do in life? Is she going to make it in life or no?
Y'all were the all.
Yeah, that's the norm, right? But no, it's been a great journey so far and great things coming, of course. The construction has been challenging as a woman for sure, but I'm looking forward to bringing in more people, men and women who are supportive of each other, actually. Thank you.
True. Palak, if you can.
Hi, I wouldn't say for me it was accidental. Yes, I would say real estate was accidental for me though, but marketing and getting into the creative field, I think I've done my mass comms and then masters. So I don't think that was accidental for me, but yes, industry perspective, I started off with my entertainment as my career. And I did 1 decade of entertainment with most of the GCs, Sony, Z, etc. Post which, yes, real estate happened accidentally to me. Initially, obviously, it was a challenge though, because entertainment, the pace is really, really fast, and when you entered real estate, it was very difficult to understand that, they are like breaking one building and when are they going to finish it up, it's really difficult. It's two different worlds. Absolutely. But I think eventually I've coped up well and things have been really, really great. God has been kind. And the journey has been fabulous.
I'm so glad I put this question. So basically we've shared the deck of questions with them before, but this I've pounced on them without any knowledge, but I'm so glad we got to explore and know about each of your journey here. So now coming to the serious deck of questions. So first I wanted to start with you, Sunita. You are also a professional in the field of sustainability and you've taken it quite ahead. So I just wanted to understand with the company, with the brand that is Mahindra Lifespaces, how have you been able to push the changes or the processes? How have you brought it about within Mahindra itself?
Wow. So, well, I think the brand gives a good starting point.
Okay.
And the brand intent was always there. And as a Mahindra group, Planet Positive and the RISE framework that we have really gives that frame of reference where to work from. However, being in the construction industry and dealing with people.
You said the RISE framework.
RISE framework.
Is that
it's
a
Mahindra RISE.
Okay.
Mahindra RISE.
Right,
And
okay.
it's RISE to be future ready, RISE to create value, and it's also we have also got a positive framework, which is trust positive, people positive, and planet positive. So we use these frameworks to actually guide across, what actions to be taken. So that gives a good framework. But coming to the sector, Mahindra Lifespaces, taking cue from Mahindra, started doing its reporting way back in 2012, when no real estate company ever even thought of a sustainability report. So I think we are a reference organization for any construction company to actually see, okay, what needs to be reported. And then we stepped up. We said in 2014, we will do a 100% green portfolio. And then in 2020, I said, we said we'll do net zero. All our developments will be net zero by 2030. And that's the journey we are on. However, how do we push this internally? What are the kind of resistances that you get? So I did something which is called a maturity assessment model, which every site is subjected to and every function is subjected to every quarter. And we kind of gamified it. And gamified it in the sense, in a very simple way, is to give scores. And we said, okay, we will compare. And once when we started comparing, the competition just began. It became so heated in the sense that, why is my site not getting this score? Why is my site not getting recognized? Why is my function being left out? What did I do wrong? Can you tell me what needs to be done? So we gamified it. So that really helped, I think. And the kind of engagement that we got from people on the ground. And I have always told my projects people that no matter what the design team tells you, the people on the ground actually can do the change or even spot something that has gone missing. So you are the most powerful. And with that kind of empowerment, I have got initiatives back from them. Yeah, it's been amazing. And it's a lot of love and that I have got from the projects team.
I really love the term you used, gamified, because it makes it fun and it makes it so much more engaging. Coming to you, Tejaswini, I just want to understand something like what she did, like gamifying an entire score sheet for sustainability across sites. Processes or workflows like this cannot be easily implemented or integrated into the systems of a corporate that's been running for ages in a certain manner, So I just want to understand, how do you push for this kind of systematic change management, especially when it comes to new ideas, or ideas are not that even popular? There is resistance, but how do you overcome it, and how have you gone about this particular process?
Okay, so basically, any kind of systemic change or a change management, it's a slow and a steady process. It's thought of a thing that needs to be done with a proper strategy. Now, being in HR, we have to drive these change management initiatives across the organization. It also requires a lot of study in terms of the alignment, what needs to be done, and getting all the stakeholders together on a common platform with a common shared purpose. So the main thing here is the purpose has to get defined. And then communicating it across the organization by senior leaders through various forums so that it reaches every person in the organization what needs to be done. I think when the alignment comes in, then the resistance to change slightly comes down. So I would just like to give an example of our organization. In Afcons, we have this vision set by the management. And it's driven by our senior leaders across the organization through internal forums, meetings, presentations, leadership trainings, so that every engineer, every employee or person in the organization knows what is there to get achieved as an organization as a whole. So our senior leaders, they participate in this transformative exercise. I think from there it drops down, and I think it grows at the ground level, goes to each and every employee in the organization. So just to sum it up, I think a common purpose needs to get defined. The alignment has to be there, and I think then it pays its lasting impact.
So the leaders have to be involved at every level.
So I would say all stakeholders have to come together for a common purpose. If the alignment is not there, then I think the resistance comes in.
Absolutely.
And the second thing is it should go to everyone. Correct. What is it that we are going to do? What is the common objective that needs to be achieved?
Correct. Palak, if I may ask you, we've heard the terms male-dominated industry or male-intensive or everything. And hats off to, sorry, I forgot, she said we need to change that particular perspective, which is so true. I just want to understand, as women, what are the unique customer, focused perspective that we bring on to this industry? What do you think has been and changed in that particular aspect?
So I feel, like somebody mentioned, which maybe I missed, that real estate is predominantly a male-driven society, and an industry. Women bring a holistic thought process, okay? I think our ability of seeing through things into detail, understanding the customer, their requirements and the end user's requirements, trying to align their requirement with our projects, whether it is community living or amenities or whatever required, I think women bring and foster long-term relationships with customers, and this helps the customer to stay back with the brand and also create a positive brand impact.
Correct, okay.
That is how I feel that, women's definitely grow in this field.
Gungan and Vyoma, both of y'all are hands down into the, designing and architecture field as such. And I know y'all not only have to, at least, corporates aside, when I know this practice comes into board, not only y'all have to handle the client yourselves, but even the carpenter, mistri, on-site, everything happens. I want to understand how has both your journeys been managing both the sides of this equation, and I know that is a very tedious job to manage the site, especially when it comes to corporate. At least you have a line down, chain of action that happens. But you all here are facing them hands down, day in and day out, making them understand, bhaiya, aise nahi, aise karna hai. So how do you all do that?
So like I always say that our industry, even now, is not very organized. Like you said, the corporate has a set down rules and they have these apps and now websites where they, upload everything and everything is updated and stuff. We still don't have that, unfortunately. Correct. And I would love to incorporate that. Yeah. Slowly and swiftly, we are doing that. Correct. So the clients can get regular updates just by a tap of, on a website. So managing your clients and your contractors is two different ball game altogether. Absolutely. Because with the client, you're all like all glam. You have to literally talk in English, and then with the career, if you're talking, you'll feel like I'm a different person. You'll think that I may have split personality or something. No, but the point is that getting your work done, getting things right, and getting the design, as desired or as imagined by us, that is what is very, very important in terms of when you're training. I feel that even the design schools should incorporate a subject like this, because this is something that we have learned only on job.
Correct. Yeah.
On job training or something. Okay. But yes, when things don't, like ma'am said, on field is very important. Absolutely. Like you just cannot sit on a desktop and design. You have to be out there. You have to climb steps. You have to, there have been moments when there was the lift was not installed and it was a 18th story, my site was on the 18th floor and I literally climbed it. I said, I think I'm not going to the gym after this. No, so yeah, it's basically the amalgamation of both worlds, I would say, and how well it's organized. Every step is different. Every site is new. How you do it is, it's a everyday learning, I would say.
Vyoma, what would be your inputs on this?
Yeah, I totally back her in a lot of points because our sector is very unorganized, and we work with a lot of corporates, like there's L&T, there's JSW and all. So there's a lot of learning that I am right now in this phase where I'm trying to get that into our sector, or at least in my studio at whatever level that I can do, because it's sometimes so difficult and so overwhelming where everything is together at one site, at one client, it's the design phase, one side you're doing handovers, one side you're doing some kind of, I don't know, procurement of materials. So we've started getting into systems now, where every site has to have a system of what's the workflow, what's your schedule, what's your timeline for what material purchase. So even the client knows that, the next 3 months, this is the time they need to invest also.
Correct.
So this misconception is there in our thing that, I've hired a designer or an architect and, they will do everything. But if you've hired me and you expect my time, you need to put in same amount of time because it's your work at the end that I'm doing.
Correct.
So that mindset, I feel, needs to change, which I'm seeing now.
Okay.
And I think there's a lot of learning that we can take from these corporate giants, because their structure is very good, which we don't have. So yeah, somewhere I feel getting into these softwares that help you keep your timeline or help you tabulate your work progress, or where what is lagging or why there are delays, because that's a very common thing in our profession. Everything always delays, and you're just wondering at the end that what went wrong where.
Absolutely.
So, if you have a record of it, then you know that these are the mistakes and errors I've made, and I'll make sure that doesn't happen again to at least 50%, or whatever the best you can do. So, with every project, I think that learning and adapting to new systems and, some kind of, like a workflow which is already tried and tested by these corporates. I think that really helps us maybe learn and progress.
That's actually a very good point, to adapt to something that's existing in the industry.
Yeah, which is already there. So you make use of it rather than, doing trial and error and spending those extra years. You might as well adapt to something which is already tried and tested, So, yeah.
Sunita, coming back to you, I just want to understand what are some of the ways that you think gender diversity is being encouraged and can be encouraged in the real estate industry? Is it still do people still have the mindset ke no ye role ke liye, like it won't be a right fit, we'll have to get this person? Do you think that still goes on in the boardrooms or any this? I'm just trying to be open and understand what it is here.
So in the previous panel, there was a very wonderful comment made by an earlier panelist that you have to establish your credibility, and after you have established, it's it's same for men and women. However, for women at entry level, it is a different proposition. So I actually wanted to do civil engineering after 12th. So my mother said that nahi site pe jana hota hai, hoga. And my father said, okay, drop it and you do physics because you love physics. I said, okay, we are all from pure science background. So I think that bias is not as much there. But once a person does civil engineering, what are the kind of opportunities that are there and how do you mainstream these people? And at Mahindra, we have done a very wonderful program which is called the Graduate Engineer Trainee Program, where they are given a 1-year full roundup on across sites, across functions, and then they get the job also. So that the entire process is so streamlined that they are not overwhelmed, and their families, and many of these girls are coming from rural backgrounds. They are probably even are the first one out from their village, have done civil engineering, but are preferring to live in Pune, Bombay, and other locations wherever we are operating, and we have created that platform. I think that really helps. Now, coming to whether people should be hired, what kind of biases, that is something HR is working very consciously to remove the biases, and we have actually taken and having more women at site, we have a diversity of 22%, which is quite high for the this sector.
Okay.
And those biases have been worked on consciously.
Okay.
So there could be biases. For example, we still don't have in the safety function, in the safety function there is no woman. There are women in all other functions except the safety function. So that is something that I'll have to talk to Kamlesh, you know, like let's see if there are people available. So there could be some biases, but our HR is doing a fabulous job on removal of biases.
They play a big role into how this
They do
mindset,
play a big role. In fact, even shortlisting of CVs and, you know, if we could look at
the names that
the CVs and how to influence the hiring managers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tejaswini, I just want to understand, like how Sunita mentioned, is organization which is a country bound, like an Indian grown or this. But we see a lot of MNCs that is entering our landscape across every industry. You think the entry of international companies or these MNCs have changed? Not that this is not a problem across, because I've read so many stories even on international platforms, which I don't know if you guys have seen this Netflix series called Running Point, which is about a female leading a male-dominated basketball team in US, and how she's shunned initially taking up the role, and then how she goes on to grow into it. So something like that. But I just want to understand, has that still made a difference in our Indian context per se as such? The entry of these MNCs and their guidelines to gender diversity.
Well, there could be some best practices that can be adopted from the MNCs and some learnings that can be done in the current structure that we have in construction or infrastructure. I wouldn't say a dynamic change that would probably come in, but if I take the example of infrastructure or construction per se, what we also follow in our organization is safety of prime importance. Okay. If you go to see the safety standards that are maintained in foreign geographies when it comes to implementing safety practices, it's something that is instilled in them. You don't have to specifically tell that you wear a PPE or thing, otherwise there would be a penalty or punishment. But these are things which needs to be reinforced in terms of the safety thing that we follow at construction sites in India. In our organization, we have this as one of our strategic goals in Afcons, to be in top 10 globally in safety. Okay. And there's a lot of safety-related initiatives which have been followed and taking place in the organization. So I would probably put it as with these MNCs coming in with the foreign partners, JVs that we have, the best practices is what something can be adopted and probably taken ahead and forward, rather than just blindly following any path.
Okay. Vyoma, I just want to understand, thank you so much for that, Tejaswini. I just want to understand, setting up a practice is never an easy job. It is, because in design school, you don't learn about profit and loss, you don't learn about managing clients, you don't know what is debit, credit, salary, kuch nahi hai. So I just want to understand, setting up practice, I'm sure both of you all must have faced a lot of barriers. And of course, now that your firm at the pinnacle that it is, it's reached there. So what are some of the biggest barriers that you all have personally and even in the field as such that you all have been able to overcome establishing and setting up a practice like this as such?
Well, so yes, I think this is a teething issue that I think all designers face when they want to set out to make their own studio, to get your own mark in the industry. Initially, as we know, like, schools don't teach you the practical knowledge. It's just the knowledge of, how to draft, how to design, how to get into details, etc. But when you're out in the field, when you actually start getting in at ground level, there is so much learning. I think I learned everything from zero the day I started doing my first site. I was just like, what did I do for those 5-7 years in architecture? I did just learning how to get the designs ready, but getting it executed is another ball game. So it was a slow process, and it was a process from zero for me. Like, I didn't have anybody in my near dear people who were either architects or designers, in relatives or friends or anybody. Friends, of course, but they all were the same level. So I didn't have any parents or anybody who were in this field at all. So they were as clueless as me. The only thing I could get from them is how to run the business. Because at the start it was you, then you start recruiting, then you're growing, and then you're wondering how are you going to make sure your bills are met, and how is it profitable, how are you going to make sure it's sustainable, how are you going to make sure that you're going to keep getting that repetitive clients. It's easy to hire. But then what? I have to make sure after that project ends, I have enough work for that person for the next time. So those things were a challenge which I learned from my parents, because they were always very much into career, and from my husband, they were always into the business mentality sector. So as a woman, I didn't have much exposure to all of that as a child, but that's something I had to really push to kind of keep asking around, or keep figuring out, okay, how is this business run, or how have you done this for all your life? What is it that I don't know which I need to incorporate? Because now I feel it's less of a design studio, it's more of a business. So I need to make sure that all these HRs, your policies, your salaries, your increments, your everything comes in, your taxation, and you're just like, I'm doing like 20% designing, and 80% of my mind is just making sure that the studio is surviving and growing. So it's a very different ball game after the first initial years. Initial years was just me learning. And now it's about me teaching them so that I can focus on other things and keep growing. So yeah, that's the whole.
That's actually very beautiful. Put every aspect of it. Gunjan?
I would put it like this. It's like you're crawling, then you're walking, and then you're running.
Okay.
Right? So when you're crawling, you are at the inception stage where you are only focusing on your design, and how my design has to come out the way I've thought of it. But when you start walking is when you realize that getting hooked on to that initial design is not the way to go. The end goal is what is important. So focus on that, and on the way, the journey, there can be changes, like change is constant, like we always say. So adapt those changes and bring the best out of your design.
Correct. Yeah.
So when you're running, you've already showcased your best. So when you do that, people are drawn to you.
Correct.
When that aspect is taken care of, then you need to look into the nitty-gritties of your business management and, controlling your contractors. Someone is running away, someone is all of that. But yeah, once I always think of making even my design industry on autopilot mode, which is very difficult. But I always want to work towards that, looking for ways to do that. Yes, challenges will be there, of course. We can, always come together and solve those challenges. Okay. But definitely, putting together both aspects has been a challenge, and it's been difficult. Working towards it every day, I would say, just keep going.
Okay. Palak, I just want to understand, we've seen generations before us work, the women before our generation faced a certain kind of challenges, and we are still facing a completely different set of challenges right now. What are the challenges that you foresee the next generation of female leaders and women that are coming up would be facing, going forth from this point?
So I feel we in this generation have faced far difficult challenges, at least in the real estate industry, okay, and with the marketing perspective, because like we all know, being a male-dominant society, you have to break those mindsets of the typical stereotypes.
Correct.
And I think for the next gen also, it will be a little difficult for them to break the stereotype mindset. It will be somewhere also the disparity in the pay scales, and for them to be heard in the boardrooms.
Correct.
There are opinions to be valued in the boardrooms. Things are changing, yes, okay. Things are changed. I'm not saying no. But it is not still equal,
Correct.
I would
Okay.
say. So maybe for the next gen, that will also be a little difficulty for them to be heard, be valued, and be understood by the larger set of audience who are there in the boardroom, to understand that, you know, your viewpoint as a woman or an industry expert is of the same value as any other board member in the team. I think things are changing though, and that is how we see more and more women leadership now coming in, you know, at least from the previous decade.
Correct.
And I think, yeah, I'm sure they'll all shine and do great.
That's nice. I just want to understand this from each of you actually. What is the one lesson that has been a very hard-hitting fact? There is this one moment in all of our careers where we've been like, oh my God, like, did this actually happen or something like that? But we learn and move on from there, you know? Move on and we try to integrate different changes. I just want to understand, what was that moment for you all? What was that lesson that kind of paved the way, like, you know, for you all to become the women that you all are today?
So
Each
I
of
would
y'all
take this
can,
up
do it.
as if, I would not say lesson, but I would say change that I felt, okay, which I thought was not so easy. But when I passed through it, I thought, yes, I could do it. So typically, like I told you, the earlier 10 years of my career, out of the 22, 25 years currently, was purely into entertainment. And when you are in an industry which produces and telecasts shows every week, okay, so you're practically traveling pan-India 20 days a month, okay? Because you have constant launches happening, you have constant, you know, shows, telecasting and so on and so forth. And post that, there are parties, yes. But for you, those parties are work. Those parties are not parties for you, right? So you're still on toes on those parties. Yes, it looks very glamorous, it looks very amazing, and so on and so forth. So when you are in that pace of constant running for 10 years, obviously age also is by your side at that point in time.
True.
And then when you somehow pick and choose an industry which is very different, okay, which probably you don't think while picking up one, but you eventually land up in, like real estate, okay.
Correct, yes.
And then when you see that you are only doing like one campaign or like one TVC in like 3 months, you know, it was like, oh my God, how does this happen, you know? How will you even survive, you know? For making one promo, it takes like 15 days. How do you even survive this? So obviously it takes a lot of time, okay? For me, I think it took, I would say, nothing less than 3 months to first come and adjust and understand that, yes, this industry functions like this, okay? But I think, yes, when I overcome that, I think it's been a fabulous journey for me.
That's nice. Thank you. Gunjan, what would you...
So, learning for me has always been about doing new challenges and taking up projects where, you know, I always tell my clients, if you do not come and tell me what are you doing, then I have not designed well enough, you know, because that's my job, that's my training, that's what I need to bring, that you can do things differently, you know. And when you have that perspective, there's always learning. So it's not like this, a particular thing or a particular project or a particular topic is my biggest learning. Every day is a learning for me. And taking up projects where, you know, say today you're an architect, but you're working with a landscape designer. And, you know, when I'm working with them, I am so involved with them that today I know a lot of landscape working myself. So it does not only mean that, you know, you've given your drawings and you've given your stuff and that's it, that's your job. No, ensuring your vision comes to life. That's learning for me.
Okay, that's really nice.
So for me, just was thinking back, I don't think there is any that one moment or that one incident that kind of changed or was like a milestone thing that made me what I am right now or today. I think it was just these smaller learnings at every step and accepting that you are going to fall, accepting it gracefully so you can rise up better without having the guilt or without feeling like, oh shit, I did this wrong. I don't know if I'll be able to, do this again without self-doubt. So I think that was something that I always keep in my mind, that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay not to know something and to learn, because it's something, it's ever evolving, and you're going to be learning probably till the very last day or till you work.
Correct,
it's never going to be like you've achieved everything or you know everything about everything, So I think it was that mindset that kind of keeps making me evolve to becoming better at what we do. And also to kind of know that we are going to be in a very close contact with a variety of people. So we meet so many different clients, which are like from private homeowners to corporate giants to, anyone and everyone across. So we need to have, so I need to make sure that I can align to them, so I don't have a set mindset in my mind that, oh, it's a client, it needs to be designed like that. So if you have that openness in your mind, it's easier for you to adapt to the client's requirement so that your outcome is more holistic in a way. So I think, these were the two things
That's an insightful one, actually. Tejaswini?
Well, I would resonate with what she said just now. I think for me, it's been a long journey. Having spent almost 2 decades in construction and being in HR, I think what I've learned is perseverance. Because we just spoke about change management and organizational development initiatives. I think, as I said, it's a slow and a steady process. Many times we encounter challenges. There are disappointments that things are not working out. But what I feel is you just need to continue working towards your goal and be focused. And perseverance is something which you have to take in your stride. And I think that helps in the long run when we have to implement or do any change or do any activity in the organization. I think that's something which has taught me. And being in industry which is very dynamic, as construction is really a dynamic industry, there are a lot of opportunities to learn. I would say you are on a learning curve because each project which comes in is a unique project. And you have a diverse workforce wherein which also encourages innovation. So you are constantly learning. So I think just having a positive and an open mindset and just continue to focus doing what you are doing. I think that's the thing which I look forward to.
Sunita?
Just so that I have understood the question right, what mistake probably has helped you learn better?
Mistake or a moment that...
Moment or mistake. Okay, so I think I have made so many mistakes all through my life because I've always prioritized doing rather than being a perfectionist. So perfectionism and me doesn't go together at all. So I do mistakes at home and I say, okay, live with it. This is what I've made today. And I make mistakes at office and I tell the people, okay, just forgive me, this English doesn't work for you, I'll write it better for you, but this is what I want to do. So I've always prioritized doing over the mistakes. And I've heard from people, you shouldn't have written this, you shouldn't have written that. But broadly, do you agree with what I'm trying to propose or trying to do? And don't get in my way of doing things. And so mistakes, you live with it, mistakes will happen. You don't have to be afraid. And I have a very thick skin. Both at home and both at work. And I've also told my team that don't come to me because you are perfecting it, making it a perfect thing that you want to show it to me. I want to see a rough draft. I want it out in front of me. I want it executed even if it is not perfect. And even that works, and in this sector, if you're trying to influence sustainability, it better be imperfect, but you do it nevertheless instead of waiting for all the people to come and say, okay, this is how it has to be done perfectly.
That's
right?
true.
So
That's
no perfectionism for me. Just make mistakes and keep doing things.
Rashmi, I would like to add to this actually. So even I initially was a perfectionist,
Okay.
and then I realized that the more perfectionist you want to be, the more it will get to your nerves and the work will not be done. So I would put this out to
I agree.
everybody. Yes, you should be good at your work, you should learn every day, and you should try to be perfectionist, but embrace your mistakes, you know. Yeah, and that does not mean keep making them. Learn from new ones, learn from them, make new ones, and yeah, keep growing.
Okay. Could we take any questions from the audience that anyone would like to ask the panel? No? Okay, if you all don't mind, I have one question, all right, because I know I've been this. Anyone, if you all want to ask, you can really ask. But this is something just came up between me and my brother. So I was preparing for this panel today, and he asked what was the topic, and I said this. And he rolls his eyes, like, oh, really, karke. And he tells me that, do you know there is bias against men in the industry? 1 minute. So this is his point. He says that corporates or a lot of employees feel female are more invested and long-term in their jobs than men. And that men jump, all right? Jump jobs or get poached very easily. But girls don't have this. And he's like, dude, I've seen my own friends face this bias in the sector, where females are given more, certain jobs. Maybe not everyone, but they've said, okay, no, we would want a girl into this. This may be off-railing a little from our topic, but this is just something, interesting argument, not in debate that I had with him. So I just want to understand, what are your thoughts on it? Or how do you all even handle poaching? Or when you all are training someone under you all for so long, I'm sure each of you all as leaders, even in this, are facing this, where you all take someone in your, care, and you all are training them, teaching them, they're learning on the job, and then maybe in 6 months, 8 months, they are off to it. This, yes, it does happen with, I would disagree with my brother, that is what I did last night, but it happens with guys and girls too. But how do you all handle this particular aspect or problem in the industry as such?
I think I can speak for my function and sustainability as a domain. I think it is what you can inspire them to do, and as a team. And if you are well invested in that vision, ki, okay, as a team we are going to be doing this, and these are the things we learn on the way and have fun, I think then relatively poaching can be reduced.
Okay, but do you agree there's this bias that...
Yes, I have seen men jump more.
Oh my God.
And in fact, I have many of the people who I mentor, my ex-colleagues and so on, have told them, don't look at money only. Look at, okay, what you're learning. So it's not, no, I've got this much jump and I'm going to be jumping. And then you see in your pattern, it's 1 year here, 2 years here, 1.5 years here. It becomes difficult. And for women, probably it's more stability. Men have this tendency to jump a lot.
Okay.
So I have always mentored the people who take advice from me. कि थोड़ा रुको, देखो कि whether it works or not.
Okay. So there is this bias
no, they like to
towards
jump. They like
women
to
in
jump
that.
because I think it's still there कि, I'm getting a higher pay, or, you didn't give me a designation here, I'm getting that designation. So that love for designation and that love for, a higher salary. Everybody loves higher salary and a designation. But I would say personally, I have, taken that thing out of my head, and even my husband, we don't look at our jobs like that.
Okay.
And we tell our son, nahi, isko is tarah se nahi dekha jata hai. That is not your identity. What you do actually is your identity, not your designation and the money. But you should be financially wise. Okay. So you should invest right from day one.
Okay. There's a question. The thing is, it's being recorded, so we'll just need it for a second.
Thank you. I think I ask question every year to the panel whenever I'm here. So this question is because I come from the industry, I come from 2 fields. One is real estate, where I am a consultant. And the second one is recruitment, because I hire for the industry as well. I would ask all the women in the panel over there, don't you think that industry is still biased when we have to hire? Because when we get the mandates from the companies for hiring, the first question is, CRM के लिए लड़की चाहिए, calling के लिए लड़की चाहिए, GREA के लिए लड़की चाहिए. अरे agreed, but what about the other fields? You know, there you have यहाँ लड़का चाहिए. Site पे लड़का चाहिए. So there is still a lot of bias which we have. All of us, we have vast experiences to ourselves. We've reached a certain level where we command those positions, or, I mean, I put my foot down by saying, I'll give you a deserving candidate, whether it is a male or it is a female, you know. So we are still facing that. In spite of being leaders, in spite of celebrating our years together, in spite of carrying all the confidence that we carry, but unfortunately we are not able to do anything for the peers who are coming forward to. As in, women still hesitate. I'll be very honest to you, women still hesitate to get into consultancy, to be called as broker. नहीं आना है. करेंगे तो IPCs के साथ काम करेंगे, individual broker नहीं बनना है. So what are your views on this? Sorry? So, you know, you are the leaders of breaking the biases, but what about others? I mean, we have a lot of women around here. I hope you all would agree to what I'm saying. Sorry? We'll follow you for that, Jayashree.
So, was that a question for the panelists?
Yes.
So, yeah. So, do you want to take it first and then I...
Yeah, so what I understand is, yes, there is a bias, even I feel, and I think we experience this in our day-to-day lives, okay? Especially maybe in hiring or in certain functions, like you mentioned. These statements you often hear, you know, that you need a lady for a CRM or a GRE, for that matter for marketing as well, okay? So I think I hear this a lot. Okay? Maybe it is a little positive for me that yes, they need females for marketing. So I'm happy about it though. But yeah, it doesn't feel overall good that yes, you are being bracketed into something like this, you know. Why I would again question this back to the industry, that why are females not, you know, asked to do a full-fledged sales job, okay, or head an entire sales team? What is it that we cannot do? Or for that matter, what is it that I feel that I cannot do as a sales and marketing head? And why can we only look at maybe a CRM and a marketing head as a lady, okay? So I think these perspectives definitely need to change, and they're still there in the industry. A lot of companies are changing. It's not they're not changing, but they'll take a lot of time to think through this, you know, because most of them, for them, it is obviously running the business and taking it to the next level. Maybe their thought is also that females might not be able to give that much amount of time, dedication because of the personal commitments, but I don't think that's pretty right, because today when you are on this stage and when you have crossed more than 2 decades in any kind of industry and you are leading, you know, with a huge team size, okay, you've already sacrificed a lot, okay, and you've already reached a stage, I feel, where there should not be any such bias, but yes, it still persists.
But don't you think it would be nice when, you know, women are marketing leaders? I mean, they hold the purse strings.
I'm absolutely happy about, yeah, women being marketing leaders. I think women should be marketing leaders across industries. And in fact, they should maybe ban the men's in the marketing.
Yeah. So I have a slightly different take. Yes, I acknowledge that it exists. The bias exists. But do we really need to be equal in everything is the question I ask. Do we really have to go for all the jobs? It's also our preferences and where we want to spend time and how we want to spend time. So it's always about equity, not about equality. And I'll cite one example. On Women's Day, you know, women were taken out for lunch, and I heard the men say that, you know, could we also be treated like this? I said, you have a valid point, because actually the women, you know, it was a light day for them, and we were treated really well. So I think it's more about equity and equal opportunities to do whatever you want to do with your family, taking everybody together. I think a woman holds the family together. And when my father said that, there are certain things in life you will have to do, which is not same as what your husband will do. And I felt that that was a lesson for me, that I will be a mother one day. I will have to spend time with my son. And maybe there are certain times, certain types of things that I will not choose to do. So it's also about the choices. But for certain things, like for example, getting civil engineers, women on site, companies will design programs, and we will have to make programs to change the biases that we are talking about.
Thank you, ladies. I missed out introducing Palak, so I will introduce Palak now. So Palak Dani Mansotra is Chief Marketing Communications and Pre-Sales Revenue Officer, Suraj Estate Developers, who throughout the career has driven brand transformations, reshaping the identity of Sony SAP and advancing its growth from 9th to 3rd position in the comedy genre. A deep understanding of ultra-luxury residential markets, commercial real estate and tech integration has been demonstrated through collaborations with K. Raheja Corp, Runwal, Suntech and more. Thank you. Thank you so much. I would, one moment for you. I would like to call Indrajit Saudi, Group Publishing Director, ITP Media India, and Shruti Dalvi from dormakaba on stage to do the honors.